Outside the kettlebell, the jump rope is probably my favorite conditioning tool. So here are 3 ways that you can make your jumping rope so much more seamless, so much more enjoyable, and ultimately get better results. First big mistake is jumping way too high. So you end up doing like these double jumps just to try to let the rope clear. But the main thing is just learning the timing. So we're just gonna put the rope to the side. And all I want you to do is, without even your hands, I just want you to focus on your feet. We're not even gonna leave the ground. We're just gonna start to get a little springy. You can stay nice and straight. You can kind of bounce side to side, but all you're doing is staying on your toes, let your heels come up. So we're getting some timing in there. From there, we're gonna use our hands. And all I want you to do is, as your heels come up, your hands come down. So boom, boom. And then again, we're just working on timing. So right now you're getting like 90% of the benefits of jumping rope, and you're not even leaving the ground, and you don't even have a rope yet. So once that feels pretty good, then I want you to just try to just get a little, just like barely a piece of paper of distance between you and the ground. So all we're doing is we're just nicely progressing to where you are actually jumping, but we're focusing on the timing. So hands down as I come up, and then just make these nice little mini circles. So again, right here, that's all you did. If you just turn it off right now and you're like, all right, I'm jumping rope now, you're gonna get most of the benefits. So anyway, that's number 1. Nice and small, work on the timing. Boom, 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 boom. Sound effects are not needed. One thing that makes the rope very unenjoyable is you start to get really exhausted through your shoulders, just a lot of fatigue through your arms, and that's because you're using a lot of movement through your arms trying to clear the rope. So the thing you have to understand is it's just a flick of the wrist. So as the rope comes underneath you, you just want to flick your wrist back relatively quickly, and that's going to create the momentum. So even if you have to double jump, that's fine. Even if you have to hit the light above you, that's totally fine. So just try to use as little movement as possible. Then from there, the rope will just start to flow. Ooh, that feels good. Next one is, once you've already gotten the basics established, you know how to jump, you feel pretty comfortable jumping, one thing that gets a little bit boring is doing the same thing over and over. So switch it up. Get into some alternating jumps, do some high knees, alternating high knees, do some side to side steps, do some crossovers if that feels pretty comfortable, do some outside the body like you're doing some Rocky work. So just kind of switch it up, you don't have to get into a flow, and it definitely doesn't have to be complicated. But what I find is that this just allows it to get a little bit more dynamic and just add enough variety to where you feel like you could just go for a little bit longer. It's way less boring. Unless you're a freaking robot and you just stare at the wall and jump for 30 minutes. So those are the 3 main things. Number 1, don't jump so high. Number 2, don't use so much arm movement. And number 3, vary the jumps. Bonus tip, and this might seem insanely obvious to some of you, but for me it wasn't, at least at first. I was so fixated on trying to hit a certain number of reps or a certain time frame, or even if I got more advanced and I had my workout plan, I just had to hit those numbers, and in reality, you don't have to. If you're feeling a little bit too much discomfort, maybe your ankles, your knees, something's feel achy, just scale back. And again, this seems obvious, but let's say that you set the timer. One of my favorite workouts is just set the timer for 10 minutes and just jump. And what I'll do is I'll go to where I feel slightly uncomfortable, at least from a cardiovascular standpoint, or even from a muscular standpoint from my legs or my core. But if I feel any kind of pain, any kind of sharpness through the ankle, through the knee, through the hips, maybe I did a lot of activity the day before, or I was just stiff, or whatever the reason, I'll just stop. And I'll basically do these like rest pause sets. So rather than trying to hit a certain number, I'll just jump until I feel comfortable. I'll rest for 5 to 10, 20, 30 seconds, and then keep going. So that way I'm not fixated on trying to hit certain reps or just trying to hit certain time intervals, and then pushing myself to a place where I just feel uncomfortable. So again, the point of this video is to help you find jumping rope enjoyable, make it work for you, and ultimately get better results, which means you're gonna jump more and you're gonna see better results. So hope that was helpful. Absolutely love jumping rope. Like I said, it is one of my favorite forms of conditioning. I like to incorporate this with some kettlebell work, some body weight work, do some intervals, and you don't have to make it a full all-out sprint. It can just be some nice, light, springy work that's gonna help you build some strength, some coordination, and some good endurance. So get after it.